somebody happens to go out, go to break. Okay.
You're going to talk to you doing break. Intro, I'm not going to bring us in.
Okay.
Trying to herb share this stuff. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Darren Smith, host of the ship on Sports Radio 810 WHB and ESPN Kansas City, along with my main man, Mr. Steve Walls, who is host of the W. You can hear him every week, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 100.1 FM. Of course, we are bringing you the Chief pregame. Man, you got to say that like 3 times.
Chief cheat sheet, man.
Pregame show. We're live from Benton's here at Crown Center. And Steve, we got kickoff in just under 2 hours now. But division rivals, Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos. Your thoughts on this game?
You know what? It's people are saying it's going to be this snow game. Chiefs should be worried. Look, they should not be worried because if you remember correctly, last year around this same time, Patrick Mahomes had a heck of a day. 2 touchdowns against out at Arrowhead again, 19-degree weather. So
I was gonna say the last time we played in Denver didn't turn out so well.
I'm talking here when in the snow. He played at Arrowhead and he had a heck of a day, man. And just to think about it, it's a rivalry game. But how much of a rivalry is it? Because the Chiefs have won the last 9 straight. So it's kind of like one of those things looking at the Raiders, right? Because
bringing that up.
No, I'm just saying. Nah, believe me, and I know we're gonna get to this, but I don't have for the people watching. I do not have the Denver Broncos winning. I have the Chiefs winning this game.
Okay.
However, I'm just calling it like I see it. They've won 9 straight. And the Denver Broncos are going to come out there and they're going to try to beat this team, of course, as every team does each week. But you're going to get the best from a divisional opponent.
Yeah, I mean this is going to be a good game. Obviously, we'll talk a lot about it, the debut of Le'Veon Bell. But let's look back at last week's game. The Broncos, they were 18-12 winners over the New England Patriots. They did not have a good offensive game, as you would say. They kicked 6 field goals to win the game. But, however, what I did like about them was they were able to control the ball. They were able to control the clock. And you forced New England playing from behind to try to beat you with the pass, which is something that they're not used to just yet with Cam Newton at the helm. Obviously, if you try that this week, granted, Kansas City has different ways of beating you. Last week when they faced off against the Buffalo Bills, they decided to try to, if the Chiefs were going to win, they were going to win by running the football, which is exactly what they did, 245 yards on the ground. Now with the addition of Le'Veon Bell, who gives you both a dual threat, a legit dual threat weapon, both running the ball and passing the ball, Kansas City will be able to pick however they want to beat the Denver Broncos in today's game.
But it's just how much will they use Le'Veon? Andy Reid earlier this week in a press conference.
Not to jump in, but he is in football shape, so it's not like he's got to get his wind or get his legs underneath him. He's able to play. The big question is just going to be whether or not he. How much of the playbook he actually knows that they can put him in on.
And most guys, when you talk about football, they say football is football. Whether no matter the X's and O's, I mean, he has to figure out which hole to run through. And I'm sure Patrick is going to let him know, hey, run through, if this is a pitch talk, whatever, he's going to let him know. And I think that's what will make him successful, but just how much will he play? Andy Reid said earlier this week in his press conference that it's going to be a day-by-day type deal, right? How much did he do in practice this week? We really don't know because media aren't allowed, to be in practice because of COVID. So I think Le'Veon is going to get, anywhere between 15 and 20 touches today.
Wow, that's a lot more than we thought he would. Some might have thought he would only have 10 touches. 15 to 20, that's a lot of touches, Steve.
I think he'll get 15 to 20 touches today.
Well, I will say that he will get touches along the goal line. I think if the Chiefs aren't able to score on big plays, I think if they get down within 5 to 10 yards of the end zone, I think we will see a lot of Le'Veon Bell, especially as it relates to trying to get the ball. If the Chiefs decide to punch the ball to the end zone.
And just looking at Le'Veon over his career, he's only had he's never played fewer than 22 snaps ever in his career.
Well, playing the snaps and the actual touches are two different things.
Right. And then when you think about it, he's only had 3 single-digit carries, yardage. So here's the thing. When I'm thinking Le'Veon, it's going to be a snowy day. The Chiefs aren't going to pass the ball much.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let me ask you this: if you're looking at their passing game, how many passing attempts do you think Patrick will have today?
I think he'll get 25 passing attempts.
Okay,
easily. Well, you got to remember, it just depends on how the Broncos try to come out and play because they're playing each team differently. But the Chiefs, a lot of times they've been dropping, teams have been dropping 8 players back, trying to rush them with 3 or 4 players, and so again. Patrick said that if you want us to beat you with the run, then that's he's fine with focusing on the run, which is what they did in last week's game. So, whether you try to do it 2 weeks in a row, I don't know. I mean, but if I'm Denver, I'm trying to control the clock as much as possible, keeping Patrick on the sideline. So, and then if they are out there, I think you're trying to send people after Patrick. I'm not saying you're going to blitz on every down because he'll kill you like that, but you just got to be. I don't know. I think you got to be a little coy, and I think you have to disguise your defense and what you're going to do against Patrick in this week's game.
The key is, when you mention blitzing, the key is going to be the Chiefs' offensive line. I mean, it reminds me of last week.
Like it did last week.
Hold on, but it reminds me of last year when you had all these different offensive linemen, being interchanged because of injury. Right now, this week. Remember, still no Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. He opted out of, and along with Lucas Niang, the rookie. So Mitchell Schwartz, the right tackle, he's also out for this game. So it's kind of a plug and play type deal. Of course, they've had a lot of practice days this week where the guys have been able to get somewhat familiar with Patrick, the cadence calls. When I listened to Austin Ryder during the press conference, and also Nick Allegretti, he said Patrick looked directly in my eye to tell me what I needed to do to call the play. He said he respected him for that because he's fresh from college, right? He didn't think he was going to be playing this early, this soon, especially when you have a Chiefs offensive line who's returning and that they won a Super Bowl. So he's basically been thrown into the wolves.
He is, but I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, man. You get a chance, you get an opportunity to play. As a fan, when you're watching the game, it doesn't matter who's out there. If you're out there, they expect you to know the plays. They expect you to be healthy. Mm-hmm. They expect you to next man up mentality. And I don't know, maybe because we've gotten that so much from New England that's just how it is. That somebody steps down, obviously Mitchell Schwartz steps down, you move over Rimmer, and the people that you plug in, people expect them to keep the engine moving. I mean, and that's one of the good things and the beauty about the consistency of the coaching staff and the players here. That you got new players plugging in, but as Eric Bieniemy's always said, and I have to take him at his word. We coach our backups to be starters, so I can't. If he's lining up, whether he's a rookie or not, they coach him up to be a starter. This is your opportunity. You got to make the most of it.
It's one thing to say it, but it's one thing when you got the bright lights on you to do it.
That's what they coach. That's what we have been accustomed. That's what we've heard from the last 2 years from this coaching staff. We coach our backups to be starters. When the opportunity presents itself, as it's done, I mean, we don't. If they play well, we give them high praises. We give, but so if they don't play well, then we got to go back and question it. But you get your opportunity. I mean, look, you never know because we don't know how long Schwartz will be out. We don't know how long some of these players are going to be out with injuries. So, I mean, grown man, it's grown man game. We, you got to take the diapers off.
The Chiefs, you said they're going to go to the air today. If they do, and when they do, it's going to be a Travis Kelce type day. Everyone's playing deep. I think Travis will have at least 6+ catches.
I
Got you, did that?
I hope he has good catches too. I mean, I got money on him, so I definitely want to have some catches. But I think I think the player that we watch out for is DeMarcus Robinson. I know last week he had 6 catches, I believe, 69 yards. I think this is another game for DeMarcus. Obviously, if you're the Denver Broncos, the last thing that you want to do is have Tyreek go deep and beat you. I think, and this is for any team, the moment Tyreek Hill can get a big long catch for a touchdown, that destroys you psychically.
Oh yeah,
Psychology. I mean, and so if that were to happen, I mean, if Chiefs get, like they generally try to get him in early and try to get those big plays in early, and if they're successful on that, then that lets you know it's going to be a long day if you're a Denver Broncos fan in Denver, because I got money with people in Denver on this game too. So.
The thing about that, and you mentioned Tyreek Hill. The thing about Tyreek is getting him the ball. Right, you have to get your playmakers, and this is one thing all across sports. Figure out ways to get your playmakers the ball, especially in football. So you're going to see a lot of different gadget plays. Tyreek possibly lining up in the backfield, doing the little end around, which always sets up something else. And that's the thing I like about Andy Reid, is that all the time you see Tyreek Hill in motion doing different things, that's always setting up another play. They'll do that 10 to 12 times a game, but then one time he'll get the ball and take off for a lot of yards.
Yeah, I don't know how creative they're going to be in the snow like that today, especially running Tyreek around like that.
You have to be.
Well, if you didn't bring Le'Veon Bell in, I would agree with that. But because you have a man, I don't think you try too much trickery like that, because that's where mistakes. Look, you got to remember the ball's going to be slippery. I mean, if if Tyreek, it doesn't have to be a thing that Tyreek does. Somebody could easily punch the ball out in this type of weather. So if you're not careful holding the ball, controlling the ball, you could easily fumble and have a return. So I don't see that type of creativity being called in today's action.
You have to give him the ball. I think, and that's Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, that's Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy's forte. You don't go with what works, and until they make that turnover, or until something like that happens, I think they continue to push forward and do what they do. Why not? I mean, Denver's coming in here, right? I mean, they've won 2 straight. The last game that they won, of course, was last week against New England. But Denver's still the same old Denver. They're not the Denver of the defensive Denver that we all know.
Well, they put on the clinic last week against the Patriots, so I don't look.
That's not really saying much right now. Chiefs beat the Patriots too.
They only scored 19 points in this. Mm-hmm. Okay, keep that, or 20, 26. Okay, I mean, look, you could be right. I think the defense for the Broncos is going to look much better than your Drew Lock offense is going to look today.
My Drew Lock offense.
Hey, that's a quarterback that you like to ride or die with. So.
I do like Drew, however, and of course he's a Lee Summit grad. So is the producer who's producing the show, Jazz. She's a Lee Summit grad as well. So, so the thing about Drew is that it's another young quarterback, right? He's another young guy. I mean, you think about all these guys who are possibly the little brothers of Patrick. I mean, they're can throw the ball, they can move outside the pocket and be creative, and so he's going to want to get a win. That a win against Patrick would definitely be a positive on his resume.
I mean, what you want and what you're able to get are two different things. I mean, I won't. There's a few things I want.
But it's one of those things. I mean, you watched The Last Dance. Michael Jordan, it was little things that drove him to be great. So when you think about it that way, there's going to be things that drive a Josh Allen. There's going to be things that drive even a Patrick Mahomes. You heard what Patrick said. He wants to be great. And that being said, there's going to be people that he's looked up to that are going to drive him. A Tom Brady, even a Cam Newton.
True, but you also have to have the talent, the coaching around you that brings the greatness out of you. And I'm not saying that they don't have it. I do believe he's got talent. I think Henry Ruggs, Jared Judy. I think he's got
same type of player.
Well, I don't think he's a speedster, but to that point, I think he was the Biletnikoff winner last year. So I believe he has a good talent. I know he has a decent running back in Melvin Gordon. I know he's coming back in today's game. Honestly, I just don't trust the coaching. I know they won a game last week, but they've lost games that they should have won. Especially if you remember, if you go back to opening night, when they lost the game, I believe it was against. No, it wasn't Pittsburgh. I think they played. I forgot Carolina. Somebody that they played opening night that they could have won the game, but they didn't. So, but all that being said, look, Drew Lock. I think he'll have a good career. I don't think he'll be successful against Kansas City. I don't bet on him being successful in today's game against Kansas City. But, at the end of the day, you still have to be surrounded by talent. And I really don't think he's that good of a quarterback for the Broncos.
Why not?
I mean, if you're struggling at home in regular weather, I don't see how you're going to get any better playing in inclement weather today.
But you got to look at the scheme. I really don't think they play to his strength. Drew Lock's strength is
falls back to coaching.
Yeah, right. And the Drew Lock's strength is, I mean, you can go back to when he was at Mizzou, even go back to when he was at Lee Summit. His strength is to throw the ball deep. Move outside the pocket, similar to Patrick Mahomes. Throw the ball deep, and I think that's why. In the AFC West, all these organizations want to mimic the Chiefs. It's a copycat league, and that's why they went out and got Drew, because they saw what the success the Chiefs had with Patrick Mahomes, even when he played his first game in Denver. So that's why they knew you got to go get a young quarterback, a gunslinger, so to speak. And I think they just don't play it to his strength, which is another reason that they went and got Jerry Jeudy to stretch the field.
I understand. Let's look now to if Denver is to win the game. Of course, I mentioned about they'll need to kind of control the ball and hope, of course, that Kansas City makes a mistake here and there. But running the ball, they get Melvin Gordon back this week. I know last week he was out. He was sick. Of course, he had the DUI incident.
Pride was sick. His pride was sick.
His pride was sick. But can they control the line of scrimmage at all today? I know last couple of weeks the defensive line has been very quiet, where they haven't really had any pressure, gotten to the quarterbacks with any sacks. Is that something that can change in today's game, facing this offensive line for the Denver Broncos?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think. Here's the thing about the Chiefs' defense. It just. They're gonna have to do some things. I mean, they were successful last week, but when you look at both the defensive line and the offensive line, they're gonna have to gain that confidence as what they did coming into the season last year. And you think about it, they both started off slow. The offensive line had injuries, right, and then they were able to come back through and get. They were able to come back and make sure that they were successful to win the Super Bowl. Same as the defense. Now, this year, both the offensive line and defense have started off slow. So the positive thing about the defensive line for the Chiefs is that they're going to move Chris Jones to the outside, play defensive end. Of course, Frank Clark's going to be that other bookend, right? And then Colin Saunders is going to be back. Now, Colin went down in week 1 with an elbow injury, so he's activated to play today, and I think he'll get the start.
But the Chiefs are going to be without 4 players today. We know Alex Okafor. They're going to also be without Tucker Charlton. They'll be without Mitchell Schwartz and, of course, Sammy Watkins. How much will that be missed? How much will that be a factor in today's game?
I don't think it'll be a factor at all. I mean, you lose one, you gain one. So I think just being able to plug and play, and these guys know, I mean, they're all professionals, and they've been in situations last year where they've missed guys. And, them playing in the snow this year, I think in Denver, that's going to come into play. And the running game, they're not going to have to focus on the passing game like they did last week and the week before.
One thing that I am interested in watching in today's game is to see how Clyde Edwards-Helaire performs. One, in the snow, because I can't remember the last time he's played in the snow game, if he's played in the snow game before. Secondly, the altitude. We really don't talk about that much, but as a rookie, as a running back, especially someone who, I mean, last week he had a career at 26 carries. We don't know what his carries going to be like today. How do you expect him to perform in today's game?
I'm sure. The coach,
especially when you know that you're going to really be splitting time today with Le'Veon Bell. The
interesting thing is, and we heard Eric Bieniemy say Le'Veon and Clyde are going to be like thunder and lightning, right? So that being said, you really don't know which one is thunder. You really don't know which one is lightning. And I think they'll both get Clyde will probably get 60% of the carries today.
As long as he gets 70 yards, I'm good.
Yeah, he'll get 60% of the carries today, but the altitude is a whole different beast, and I think he's probably they probably had one of those masks, right? The altitude mask that you're able to work out in. You haven't seen those? Dick's,
No, I
Dick's
haven't
Sporting
seen
Goods
those.
sells them. They're altitude masks. You can work out in them, and they change your airflow to different altitudes, so you can work out in those things, and that kind of prepares you. I'm not saying he did. I don't know, but you can probably if he was able to use that can help him to be prepared for going into Denver.
You learn something new every day, folks. I did not know that. Dick's Sporting Goods, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I know it must cost a pretty penny, too, huh?
It's like $40.
Oh, man, that's too big. It's too rich for my blood. Too rich for my blood. If there were points bet on it, then I'd probably do it. Look, also, so you think Le'Veon's going to get between 15 and 20 touches, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think his debut looks like for Kansas City, stat-wise?
Ooh, that's going to be tough.
I ask you this. Does he, if the Chiefs don't have a big play, if they get down to the red zone, does he score? Is he the first person to score a touchdown for Kansas City?
Yeah, I would guess so. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that Le'Veon gets the first carry gets his first touchdown today in the snow in Denver.
Well, I believe he gets his first touchdown, but will he be the first person to score a touchdown?
Yes.
I hope so.
I agree.
I got money on that. But if Darrell Williams scores, I'm not going to be upset.
Okay.
I'm just putting it out there. But looking at now, the one thing I am concerned with, and a lot of people have, and I know it's been a talk of some sports shows this week, special teams, and of course we'll get to Denver and some of the other moving parts later. But Harrison Butker, 15 of 19 point after touchdowns, 10 of 11 field goals. He missed another extra point last week. Now, people, when we talk to Dave Tobe, he talks about he might be working out some kinks or mistakes. But why is he missing all these extra points? Now, he can kick a 70, 75-yard field goal, he says, with ease, but he can't make an extra point. Now this is for people. I'm not saying freak out, jump, trade him, cut him, or anything like that, like the Steelers did, Dustin Colquitt. But why is he missing all these extra points?
You know what? Dave Tobe has said, and you just alluded to it, that there was one minor thing that they corrected. This is 2 weeks ago against the Raiders, and so there was one minor thing that he's corrected, in that it shouldn't be a problem. He's kicked all week last week, going into last week's game, and he goes and misses it. Of course, we didn't get Dave Tobe this week, so we don't know exactly what his conversations were to Harrison Butker. Now, this is one thing: you don't miss extra point attempts. You just can't afford to do that in the National Football League. I'm sure they've told him that, right now it's got to be a mental thing. I mean, like you said, he can kick. He said he can kick 70-yard field goals, but if you can do that, then you should be able to make the little put shots in. So it's going to be mental. Yeah, and it's definitely. My question was: is there something wrong with the hold? Is there something mechanically that's just not going right with with what he's seeing? Possibly from the offensive line, where that movement from when the ball is snapped to when the guys are rushing off the edge trying to block it. Is there something that he's seeing? Is there something like that is causing him to miss? So does he have a hitch in his kicks? Anything can cause him to miss, but I think it's going to be more mental.
We talked about Jerry Jeudy. He's had 50-plus receiving yards in 4 of his 5 career games thus far. He's ranks 4th among AFC rookies with 266 yards this season. I know, again, he was a Biletnikoff Award winner, top wide receiver in all of college. Can he have an impact in today's game? Of course, we did see last week Travarius Ward, Bashar Breeland. I don't know what kind of grade you would give them based off their performance against the Bills. I know Josh Allen was only 14 of 27, so I thought they did decently, but there were penalties against him as well. How do you see Jeudy and this wide receiver group, with Tim Patrick and Noah Fant going up against this defense?
The Chiefs have struggled facing the deep ball. They have, and it wasn't an issue last year. The cornerback play at the beginning of the season, it was an issue, right? It was still Travarius Ward trying to get his legs under him. Bashar Breeland is learning to play with this defense. They're all learning to play together. Now there should be no excuses. I mean, even though Travarius still has a cast on his hand, there's still a certain amount of confidence that you need to play with. And Bashar Breeland, of course, brings it every week. Now, Travaris Ward just has to match what Bashar Breeland is bringing. Now, you think about Juan Thornhill. Juan Thornhill had a great game, great last couple of weeks. But Tyrann Mathieu has to get these guys ready to play. He's the leader on in the secondary. He has to make sure that these guys are ready to go.
Need a big game from Tyrann Mathieu. One, because I don't think he made it for the Vegas Raiders game yet. I know he was kind of quiet last week against the Bills. Now I did talk to Juan Thornhill this week. He says he expects to get 2 interceptions in today's game,
as they do every week. I mean, confidence is key.
He told me bet money on it, so I'm gonna bet a couple of dollars on him just that he would get that. But that defensive backfield, it just is worrisome. I mean, and there's reason. There's reason to be. Josh Allen, he didn't have a big statistical game, so I'm not gonna crap on him too bad. The defense too bad on it, but again, with this type of weather, inclement weather, and the receivers, they know where they're going to go. I really think this is going to be a heavily penalized game as it relates to defensive backs. Yeah, and this is going to be on both sides, just because again, rain, snow, footing will be an issue, but then also the offensive players, they know where they need to be.
Right.
And now, obviously, the defense player, you want to try to guide them where you think you can, but at the 5 yards, you can't really do much. So that's why I think we'll see a lot of penalties today against the defensive backs. Now, to what extent? I would say I could easily see five going on each side. No, I think today's going to be a heavy penalized day.
You know what? I don't think so. Just because I don't see them throwing the ball as much. It's going to be 19 degrees outside. It's going to be, and I'm saying that, football hasn't just started being played today.
Patrick, you remember in last year's game when the Chiefs won what? I think they won 23-3 last time that they played in December. Patrick threw for a number of yards, even in that cold weather. Now, this is also the site last year that Patrick, I believe we were there. I believe it was in the second quarter. Patrick went down with a knee injury on a 4th and 1 play when they were
goal line play too.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't think Andy Reid has called that ever since. I don't think they've called that before. But if you're Patrick mentally going into this ball game, knowing that the last time you played here, you dislocated your knee, what are you thinking?
I think that's something that I think it's something that they've put behind him. That he's put behind himself, actually. So, I haven't heard him say anything about it. I know it's one of the things I know that the media tries to play it as though, hey, well, are you a little nervous going back there? This is what happened last year, and that's a storyline always, right? But I don't think he's going to go into the game thinking, oh man, I hope I don't get injured. If anything,
I don't think that. I think the fact that he's undefeated there thus far, he's 3-0 there. So
but if anything, I think he's gonna go out there and try to continue that record, like you said, and continue to be undefeated there in Denver.
All right, so take a quick timeout. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. You are watching the Chiefs Cheat Sheet with Mr. Steve Walls and Darren Smith right here. We'll be right back after this timeout. Damn, Devontae Adams, 11 catches, 174 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Did you bet that?
I bet like parlay with him and the players, but they didn't have anything for him like 2 touchdowns, 150 yards, something like that. I didn't see nothing like that. Yeah, right. But see, I need Aaron Rodgers to at least rush for 10 yards. But David Johnson has to get 60 yards. He could get it to only about 24 yards, but Houston's horrible. Randall Cobbs has six catches, so I'm good on that. I'm good on the catches with that. No, I have no. Not Randall Cobb. I need Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller to have 5 or 6 catches. Okay, Brandon Cooks needs to have 5 catches. He's got 5 catches, okay. Now, basically, I need Johnson has to rush for 70 yards, and Aaron Rodgers has to rush for 10 yards. Just 10 yards. Will Fuller needs to have 6 catches. He has 2. That probably ain't going to happen. Johnson gets the rush for Okay, I'll let you do that. I'll bring it back in and I'll let you take it from there. Cowboys killing me. So you Dallas Cowboys are killing me, man. All right, welcome back to the Chief Cheat Sheet. Darren Smith, Steve Walls. Steve, what's on tap for us, man?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Westin for allowing us to come in here. We're inside of Benton's. And remember, the Westin is a place where you don't just get caught up, you rise. And now more than ever, they want you to rise with confidence in Kansas City. The Westin Crown Center is ready for you and your family. So come and check out the Westin. We're here inside of Benton's Chief Sheet, like you said. Darren, I want to ask you about, we touched on a little bit, but about just Patrick Mahomes versus Drew Lock. Where do you see their progression from year one to where they are now?
Well, that's they're mountains apart.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when Patrick was a rookie, he sat on the bench the first 15 games. In week number 17, we got a glimpse of what he could be when he had his career opener against the Broncos and winning in the fashion in which they did. That whetted the Chiefs' appetite. I will say, thus far, I don't know if you're a Broncos fan, if you've seen anything just yet from Drew Lock from last year to this year that would give you the impression that you found your franchise quarterback. I mean, I know you believe in him because he's a local kid. I know you like the kid, but thinking from a business perspective, business aspect, you hope that you have your franchise quarterback, but I don't think he's really done anything to kind of separate himself that shows that, okay, You've drafted me. You gave me the opportunity. This is why I'm going to be your quarterback for 10, 15 years to come. I don't think he's shown that just yet.
And the thing about it is, I mean, you have John Elway as your general manager, right? One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
True.
When you have a guy like that you could pick his brain, day in and day out, just how much of that comes into play when you're thinking about him being successful in Denver?
Trust me, I've always tried to figure out why more players don't do that. Like, if I'm Drew Lock, I know you have a quarterbacks coach.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what they get paid to do. But when you're not there, when you're away, I am trying to have John Elway coach me up as much as humanly possible. I mean, if you can't get better by having someone like that, that's what would kill me about Carlos Hyde last year when we were at training camp and somebody's running back now. Like, you got Eric Bieniemy as your OC. Mm-hmm. I know you have Dylan McClendon as your McClendon as your running backs coach, but Eric Bieniemy is going to be the one really controlling your playing time. I'm trying to pick his brain as a running back, right? Because one, I know he spent 9-10 years in the NFL, so he knows the game inside out. And as a running back, you got somebody. It's just like when the Chiefs had was it Art Steele or Emmett. The Hall of Famer that was
Emmett Thomas.
Emmett Thomas. Yeah, mm-hmm. I was want to call him Emmett Smith. No, I'm not. But when he was here, I mean, if you're a defensive back and you can't pick a Hall of Famer's mind every day to get better, that's a problem. And so again, I don't know whether or not Drew has done that. I don't want to speak for him, and I'm not going to speak for him. But I don't know whether or not he's gone out to try to reach out to John Elway to get some extra coaching or tutelage underneath him. And if he hasn't, it's criminal. And if he does, then maybe he needs a little bit more.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, where if you have this Hall of Fame quarterback who's won 2 Super Bowls, right? I mean, why recreate the wheel? Go back and look at some of the stuff. And I say the coaches do this too. Look at what Andy Reid has done. He really doesn't recreate the wheel. He'll go back into a tape from 1940 and pull from what they do and kind of match it to what Patrick is able to do.
I would also ask, how much film tape do players actually watch nowadays? Because no offense, I know a lot of them like to go home and get on the 2K and get on Sony PlayStation 5 and Xbox. But in all seriousness, how much of them are actually going back watching games from to better themselves? I mean, because again, that's what separates good players from great players and great players from Hall of Fame players is what you do in your off time. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to be Tom Brady and watch all 22 films sun up to sundown and to get the best of your opponent. But there's a reason why people believe he's the GOAT versus a lot of these other players. And there's a reason why he has the respect, because he knows the game inside out. Like he and Peyton Manning, when they were at the height, I mean, you didn't need an offensive coordinator for them, because they could call out the defense and audible and check down and make players, put players and call the plays to go against whatever defense that you put out there. I mean, that says something. I mean, and Patrick hasn't gotten to that level yet, but once he does, I think he'd be like Neo when he cracks the matrix code. That will put him up to that next level. I know he's already elite right now for what he's done in a short period of time. But for me, to take that next step, I think he and others, look, Tyreek is a great example. He was a kick returner when he came in. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be a
wide receiver.
Well, not only wide receiver, but a 1A, a number 1 wide receiver. He worked at it. He watched game film. He practiced. He did what it takes. He did what it took to get to where he is now, where he's considered a top 5 wide receiver. So we look at McCole, we look at other players, whether it's Drew Lock or others. What are you doing to take yourself and take your play to the next level? That's what a lot of players don't do, and that's what separates good players from great and great to elite and then elite to Hall of Fame.
But a lot of that is like God-given ability, though. I mean, you look at Tyreek Hill. He didn't have to do much to become a number 1 wide receiver. I mean, he's faster than everybody. Well, all he had to do was just
doesn't matter. No. We know a lot of fast players, but John Ross runs a 40 faster than Tyreek, but
does he have a Patrick Mahomes that can throw the ball to him?
But he can't run routes. He can't run routes.
Well, that's coaching then, because if you know your player can't run routes, a lot of what you do is going to be based on what he can do. right?
But again, it falls back to the player. You can say it goes to coaching, but a lot of it still, what are you doing? Because coaching changes they trade. Baker Mayfield's had 4 head coaches in 2 years or 3 years. I mean, I can't use that as an excuse, because at the end of the day, you control your own destiny
Mm-hmm.
at the end of it. So, what are you doing? Again, we've been talking about the last couple of weeks about McCole Hardman and whether or not he's ready to take that next step. What is he doing? What is he doing when he's not on Twitter,
Hanging out, yeah.
doing what young folks do on Twitter. I mean, what are you doing? Are you going to the gym? Are you training with Luther Glover or anyone else that's doing what Tyreek is doing to be great?
I mean, here's the thing too. It's who your circle is around you. I mean, look at Larry Fitzgerald, right? He's taken a lot of those young guys that come around him and puts them under his wing. So a guy like Tyreek Hill,
And I'm just using Tyreek as an example,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm saying in general, it doesn't go for just McCole, but just anyone to answer your question about what are you doing to try to make yourself better, make yourself great. Because look, when we look at some of these stats and look, I'll be honest. I like to bet money on this stuff, but and it dawns on me like, okay, some of these players that you expect to be able, name players you expect, and you try to figure out, well, why are your stats not better? I mean, I look at Deshaun Watson, and I think he had like 10 completions thus far in the first half. But to me, what are your wide receivers? Why are they not able to, get themselves open? I mean, again, if I'm someone that's trying to get to that next level, trying to get a Super Bowl ring, trying to get Hall of Fame status, there's nothing. I'm sacrificing everything. I'm like Shannon Sharp. I don't want to be bothered with what the family, wife and kids got to go do their thing. I'll see you in the off season, but I'm training. This is what you spend years for. High school, college, trying to get mama the big house and stuff to get to this level. Now you're at this level, you want to stay there, but you also want to have generational wealth, and by doing that, you have to become the best of the best, the elite of the elites. And to me, if you want that, sacrifices have to be made. And the good thing with Patrick is that he does have players on this team that are at that next level. A Travis Kelce, a Tyreek Hill. Now you bring in a Le'Veon Bell. I think he is an elite talent. He has played at an elite level because of the talent that he had around him in Pittsburgh. He didn't have that in New York, but I think by being back here, it gives him a whole different outlook. I think we'll see that type of player back here that was in Pittsburgh. And again, I think because Patrick is wise enough to know that he needs great players like that around him to make him better, make him elevate his game. Everybody feeds off of that. Now, I don't know about Drew Lock and all and what he's surrounded with out there, but again, you have to look within yourself to say, I want. If you're going to try to mimic off of Patrick, you got to be able to sacrifice the new things that Patrick is doing.
But here's the thing, and I'm not taking anything away from Patrick. He has a lot of talent around him. So if you flip it and put Drew Lock in Kansas City and Patrick out in Denver, I can see it being about this. I mean, I won't say it'll be the exact same, but I can see being at about the same. And we don't know how much Drew puts in work, right? I mean, what I see is what he posts on social media. I mean, he does get workouts in and do things like that. Now, Patrick, now he's his time is limited on the workout side now because he's a brand. He has a Patrick Mahomes brand, and he has to go shoot commercials, do various things, and so he does still work out. But now, what you said, Brett Veach and Andy Reid, they're going to put these all these talented receivers, and now it's going to make it a lot easier for him to get the ball down the field when there's not snow on the ground because they have a guy like Le'Veon Bell. And we said it, they should have brought Kareem Hunt back. That would have opened up the passing game even more, right? So that being said, you could put, and I'm not going to just sit up here and say you can put the average quarterback back there and it would work. No, it wouldn't. But a guy like Drew Lock, you could possibly put him back there under Andy Reid, and he would be successful. I'm not saying he would be as successful as Patrick, but he would have some success in being a quarterback for the Chiefs if that was where he landed. Sometimes it's just, and you know it. Sometimes it's just what team you go to. Yeah, what team you go to. Who's your coach? What you have. Patrick Mahomes has 3 number 1 wide receivers at his disposal when Sammy is when Sammy is healthy. He has 3 number 1s. What other quarterback in the league has that? Other than Russell Wilson, who possibly has 2.
Brady, I would say.
3. Well, now he has 3 number 1s. Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. You have 3 number 1 wide receivers, 2 number 1 running backs now. That's a lot to be said. That's a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball.
It's a lot of talent, but again, but all of it flows from the court. Now, granted, Kelsey was the number 1, obviously tight end.
Oh well, then that makes 4. That makes 4. I mean, he's still a tight end. He's still a wide out.
Okay.
So you have Tyreek Hill, you have Demarcus Robinson, you have Sammy Watkins, and then you have Travis Kelsey.
Okay.
So that's your 4.
Okay. Well, you kind of threw me off on what I was going to say about that, but no. But what I'm saying is, all that talent though still flows because everybody now is feeding off of the quarterback, and so what I'm saying is, Patrick has become that dude, and again, he learned, he learned how to be a professional under Alex Smith. But once he got that chance and people got a chance to see his talent, everybody saw, oh, this guy's special. Everybody feeds off of him now. And so, but if you see Patrick's work ethic, you see how, we see him on Instagram and everything. And you see the workouts that he's doing. That flows. I mean, obviously, we see a lot of workouts with Tyreek. I don't really know what some of the other players do because they may not post it as much. As Tyreek and Patrick does. But again, but that type of work ethic, that type of environment feeds off to everyone else. And again, people want to be surrounded by that. Again, like I said, I don't know what Drew is doing, so to speak, but would you say that what he's doing is going to be beneficial for him to make it to that next step like Patrick has done?
I would say so. I mean, it's just putting the key players around him. I mean, that's what make great players. I mean, you look at Jerry Rice, look at the 49ers. I mean, you have a great quarterback, you have a great wide receiver. It's just the players that you have around you that would makes you the player of offensive line. And I'm not taking anything away from Tom Brady. Of course, he's the GOAT, but he had a great offensive line when he played in New England. A phenomenal offensive line.
Yeah,
he had great coaching, but again, it's his environment. If Tom Brady would have went to the Cleveland Browns, would he be still Tom Brady?
Perhaps
it's just the system.
But not only have a good coach, but he also had a work ethic as well. I mean, he's insane. I mean, he gets the same film type stuff that the coaches use that he has built in his house, so he can go through and watch the game and watch his opponents week in and week out and study them and try to pick the defense apart to see, okay, if they run this defense and this is what I'm going to do. I'm saying that's stuff that he does that separates him from everyone else.
And that was Tom Brady at 33 and not 23.
He was doing
that. Was I mean, you had
27.
Well, and that's still 5, 6, 7 years in the league, right? And that's a lot more money than what you would have as though you were not Patrick Mahomes. I'm not don't get me wrong there because he has that money, but like a Drew Lock, like a Baker Mayfield, guys like that haven't reached that pinnacle of what they're going to make, and so they're limited to what they have. Now, I mean, of course, they have the $1 billion team that they're able to use at their disposal, right? They're all their equipment and things like that. But it's saying in their house, that's a totally different ballgame.
First of all, you make something it costs millions and millions of dollars to do that. One, Baker Mayfield and others have that type of money because they get the first round draft picks, Steve, so they get big signing bonuses, and they also get endorsements from the NFL, i.e. Baker Mayfield with all this progressive stuff. So the money's there, but again, it's also the work ethic.
Yeah.
And you bring up Baker, he likes to talk loud, but we see how he backs it up and doesn't do well. But again, if you keep it, look, Patrick to his credit kept his head down. I mean, you didn't hear it. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot of talking. Even the year he won the MVP. I mean, Patrick wasn't out there, trying to show up coaches and do all the pass. He was out there playing the game. I mean, and players respect that, but players feed off of that. Baker Mayfield, #1 draft pick, and talks all that talk and got all the talent around him. But look how he plays.
And remember, Patrick's out there having fun too. He had all these young guys around him. When you out there having fun, it doesn't make it a business, right? it just makes it you out there playing backyard football, and that's why they were so successful.
So let me ask you this: are you having fun, or are you working right now?
I'm having fun. I'm relaxing, having fun. Backdrop, we're here at the Westin and inside of Benton, so just hanging out. But I wanted to transition to the Chiefs defense. Look at their linebacking core. What do you see from those guys? Anthony Hitchens, the leader of that linebacking group. What are you seeing from those guys?
I mean, they're doing their job. They're making. I mean, they're making the most tackles, which is where it should be. I mean, it just depends on the offense. Look, one, you put me in a pretty tough pickle right now because I expect them to be undefeated, and when I look at today's game and the upcoming schedule, it really makes me that much more upset how they played against the Raiders. I think this is a good game for them. I think this game for Hitchens and I think we'll see a lot more of Willie Gay in today's game. It depends. I will say it depends on what our defensive line does. If they can get some pushback against the offensive line for the Denver Broncos, I think we can see a decent. I mean, I'm not going to say anything's going to stand out, but I don't think they're going to get any fumbles or interceptions or anything like that. But I think they'll hold steady. I don't see a big run game that's going to take place, even though that's what they'll need to beat Kansas City. I think you'll need a strong running attack to keep Patrick on the sidelines, but I just don't see it happening. I think the defensive, I think the linebackers will be able to hold up well against this offense of the Denver Broncos.
Now, remember, you're watching the Chiefs pregame cheat sheet. The game will be kicking off here in about an hour?
An hour and 5 minutes.
An hour and 5 minutes. We're live inside of Benton's. Remember, the Westin is all about wellness, and that is so important right now. The Westin is at Crown Center in Kansas City. Is a place to be for your next hotel experience. So give them a call at the Westin.
So now I'm curious, Steve. Just now, when you were in high school, is this where you came for prom? I know. Now when I was in high school, we used to skies over there at the Sheraton, which is shut down right now. And of course, I know we were looking to try to do a show from there till they were shut down. But is this where you came?
It's funny. This is actually where we had our senior prom at the Westin. It really is. Yeah, it's where we had our senior prom, which is kind of you just reminded me. But yeah, this is where we had senior prom in the Westin. This is a phenomenal hotel. We love the people at the Westin. We appreciate them having us here to do our Chiefs pregame cheat sheet. And the background is amazing as well. And all the rooms, most of the rooms facing the north side, you'll get this same background. Wake up to that every morning.
Now, I am curious because I know we got a few minutes left, Steve. When we look at today's game, look at the scoreboard, we have other games that's going to be taking place in the late afternoon slate. I want to get your thoughts and predictions on them. Bucks and Raiders. Of course, it's supposed to be a Sunday night game. Got flexed earlier, so in case they had to move this game, there would be a Sunday night game. But who you got between the Bucks and the Raiders?
Now, the Raiders' offensive line, are they still in quarantine?
No, they're able to play. The only one that's not able to play is the safety, Jonathan Abrams.
Well, Jonathan Abrams is definitely a guy that brings everything, all he can to the Chiefs. I mean, to the Chiefs defense. No, the Raiders defense. So I would have the Bucks in that game.
Okay, I got the Bucks in this game as well. 49ers, Patriots, the return of Jimmy G to New England.
I got the 49ers.
Huh?
I got the 49ers in that game.
I got the Patriots. I can't see them losing 3 games in a row. Jaguars and the Chargers.
I got the
Justin
Jags.
Herbert. Huh?
Got the Jags.
I got Justin Herbert getting his first win of his career today at home.
Okay.
Let's see here tonight. Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh, I got the Arizona Cardinals.
Got the Seahawks.
Okay.
All right, Chiefs Broncos, man. Who you got?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I know you.
I got the Chiefs, man. As long as they. The thing about it is, and we said this at the top of our show, is that I want to see how much Le'Veon Bell can motivate this offense. Not saying that they need any motivation, but him going out there and trying to revitalize his career, right?
His career is not on the. Oh man, okay.
But he wants to make more money. Don't get me wrong. We've talked about this. Le'Veon is a money machine. Like, he wants to make money. He set out a whole season in order to make money. So
Save
I
his
think,
body too.
yeah, I think he that's key. But he also wants to win a championship, and that new energy. Remember, the Chiefs brought in Shady last year, gave him a little bit of a boost of energy. Right around this time, they also brought in Ball So Hard University. So last year, so this is the Chiefs' MO. Bring in some guys at around this time of the season to give them that extra boost. Who you got? I have the Chiefs winning. By the way, I think the score is going to be 27-10. Actually,
I think I had 33-17, something like that. I got Chiefs. Well, I mean, I got Chiefs winning every week, so it's not really a big surprise. But of course, you did have them winning. I mean, you did have them losing last week, so let's remind the audience.
Yeah, I'm willing to say, okay. I'm wrong every once in a while.
Okay, yeah, I just have to be wrong once every 18, 19 games. But that being the case, I to your point though about Le'Veon Bell, I think his debut today for Kansas City is gonna, like you said, have an impact. I feel like once they get down within the red zone, they're going to. I think they may give Clyde a crack at it, but if he doesn't get in, then you bring Shady in, and then I think he punches the ball in. I think he gets 2 touchdowns today for Kansas City.
Not Shady, Le'Veon.
Well, see, I'm talking about Le'Veon. So yeah, but I think Le'Veon gets 2 touchdowns for Kansas City today.
2 touchdowns?
Yeah, because I mean, I think they'll be in the red zone enough to where Patrick is, especially if it's snowing, Patrick's not forced to, try to force it in because Clyde can't get in. I think because Shady's 6'1", 225, 230. I think he can get it in there.
Le'Veon.
I wish you would have said it.
Yeah, of course, Shady's down in Tampa Bay with a team that you said is going to make the Super Bowl. Yes,
it's funny because I said that was my Super Bowl matchup with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and the Bucks, and I know I have wings on it with Rob Park. I forgot what your bet was with him, but I also mentioned, I believe it was April 22nd, which I screenshot and posted back up to that. They would figure out a way to can't get right down there, and they did just that. So thus far, my predictions are going.
Here's the thing about that. You also said that, when the Chiefs are going to go out and reach out to get him, the next post, that was it the same day or probably the day later, the Seattle Seahawks are saying that they're going to be 100% trying to get go out.
About Seattle. That was that.
No, they definitely did. But the Chiefs were not ever going to go and get who you call can't get right. He's not can't get right. You can still ball
now. We'll never know now because Tom Brady made sure it was never going to happen.
Okay, but clock is right twice a day.
But all that being said, though, just before we get out of here, how does that legitimize, or what does that do for your thoughts on the Patriots? I know you got the New Orleans Saints, and of course they're in disarray because there's no Emmanuel Samuels or Michael Thomas the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, man, it's bleak, but here's the thing:
you can get on the bandwagon if you want.
No. You still have Drew Brees, man, and I think that the Saints team is still good. Now, Alvin Kamara is that dude. Now, don't get man.
Dude.
So
I'm betting on them hard today.
Yeah. So here's the thing about it. They're gonna be able to get to the playoffs, and when they get to the playoffs, anything can happen any given Sunday.
Yeah. I'm sitting there looking at stuff. Kamara's doing what he's supposed to do. It's everybody else I need him to step up to. Before we get out of here, Steve, of course, Hall is dressed for you today. What you got on?
Shirt is paisley and gray. Jacket is Marzotto by Boss. The pants are Torino Slim Fit and watch Michael Kors. So, of course, we're inside of Crown Center. We're, feet away from Halls, which is located on the 3rd floor inside of Crown Center. They provide the game day look each and every week. You go talk to Lawrence, who is a style expert inside of Crown Center. Remember, ladies can get fitted as well. They have the Bind cologne, anything from Louis Vuitton to Gucci to Versace, whatever it is that you need inside of in Halls, you can go down there and get it.
All right, of course, I'm styled by Mr. Todd White himself today. Not only did he style me today, Steve, he styled Le'Veon Bell, so he's going to have that look today.
You
Today,
wearing a Jets
Mr.
green?
Huh?
Jets green?
I'm wearing it here because he's going to have a big debut today. I didn't want to wear it next week because then they'd be like, "Oh, you pulling for the Jets?" No, I'm not doing the Steve Walls. I'm not going to bet against the Chiefs. But all that being said, look, we thank our sponsors. We're thankful for them, and of course, you'll see some posters and some pictures and knowing Steve, some video shoots up on his page
Of course.
very shortly. But I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, getting you ready for kickoff today. Thanks once again to our producer, Miss Jasmine Palmer, who makes us look good and sound good every week on here. And Steve, again, where can people find you at on social media and tune into you?
You can tune in at the W Show KC each and every Saturday. Also throughout the week, some different things that we have coming up. Also at Steve Walls KC on all social media platforms.
And then tell them about the Red Hour tomorrow.
Yeah, you remember the Red Hour on Monday nights. Darren Smith, myself, Uncle Sean Tyler, and DJ Q. We bring you the Red Hour, talking all Chiefs football each and every Monday night. Remember, you can go to the Red Hour on Facebook and sign up to win. This week, I believe we're giving away a Travis Kelce bobblehead. Yeah. So you still have a few hours before you can go and get registered to win that Chiefs bobblehead. We give away Chiefs gifts brought to you by Devoya Marshall at Farmers Insurance. Remember to look her up. Follow us on Facebook as well.
Okay, and of course, you can catch me every day, Monday through Friday, ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 a.m., 3 to 4 p.m. Darren is still, of course, on the Red Hour tomorrow at 6:30 via social media. And then, of course, on Thursday nights following Thursday Night Football and the postgame show with The Ship with Darren Smith on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So, for Mr. Steve Walls, Darren Smith will be back here on Sunday at 10 a.m. with the Chiefs cheat sheet, and we're out of here.